They prepare the 5 red lights that'll start any second now. I still don't have a face. I don't know why, but that doesn't matter. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And it's lights out and away we go. And it seems that Geometry has gotten a particularly good start. And he's going to need that momentum if he wants to stay ahead of the dominating force of YC. But now, let me cut to the spectating camera. And also, Jay-Z, from your perspective, can you only do the chase cams? I'm gonna do the cockpit cams only. So yeah, YC is going even tighter than Geometry, and almost immediately the wingman cuts ahead of the pole sitter, and Son 85 is looking for a bit of that action as well. Going down the rest of the standings, Mr. Download Drum accidentally after curb, and no, he loses a position to one of the Mercedes, but he still has quite a bit of room to work with, and I think we already had a slip as well, but whoever did it must have recovered it quite nicely, because I didn't notice any debris from there at all. Where he's currently defending, which is P7. Jerry Pecco trying to go for a lunge on the Ferraris. He takes a tighter line than Geometry. He does it twice, he does it thrice, and he's exited out with more speed. Jerry Pecco still isn't ahead of Geometry, but he's got the speed, he's got the lines. It'll happen any second now. And now Jerry Pecco cuts ahead of Geometry. He's been fighting the previous champion and the championship leader for a couple of laps now. If this isn't proof to Jerry Pecco's skill, I don't know what is. Oh, and Jerry Pecco taps a track limit and he has to take a time penalty. That's the last thing he wanted, is now YC makes a run for it, and little Max Light finds position on Jerry Pecco and takes P2 directly from him. YC is once again in that dominant position we all know him for, almost being pressured into making a mistake. Oh, but I think he tapped a track limit as well. But YC, even though he did tap a track limit, he tapped it in the best possible spot, only losing a little bit of speed due to the slaloms. If he was going to lose time anywhere, it was going to be there. So there's only around a 2-second gap between YC and Jerry Pecco. If Jerry can keep it clean and avoid the track limits, he might still be able to make a move on Jerry. And looking further back as well, Geometry is now also having a position battle with Turkslow, the current champion. I think he ended up getting buggy DRS from that. Yeah, he doesn't get DRS, but Turkslow does, despite Turkslow being the one ahead of him. Again, Victor DRS detection. Okay, there's also a battle at the front between Jerry Pecco and Little Max Light. I think Jerry Pecco might have hit another track limit, as now he falls further down the order as Geometry shoots into 4th place. And now Geometry is back into battling for positions. And it's absolute disaster for Jerry Pecco, who looked like he could have taken a stab at the leader at any moment, but instead crumbled under the pressure. Now, Jerry Pecco, just behind Klesica, isn't going to be able to get position on the Haas. The DRS zone is particularly close, so we'll have to wait and see. I think Klesica might have ended up tapping the track limit of Doom there. It looked particularly callous to me. Jerry Pecco gets a better line than him. Who's going to get DRS? It's seeming like Jerry Pecco has it. Nobody gets it. Neither of the two gets it because, you know, buggy DRS does the funny. And now Geometry is actually hanging just behind Sod 85. He overtakes him to get back into the podium positions. There's a slight tap, but Sod 85 hasn't given up yet. He's still trying to get every little bit of time that he can. Max Light doesn't take the best line here, but he also doesn't end up tapping any track limits. He's slowly drifting away from the leader Beastova, who is gaining in second at the moment after whatever. He's also approaching one of the back markers in the forearm of N4 now. If he can get DRS on him, that'd be extra handy for the race leader. Yes, he does. YC gets DRS, which is going to extend his lead by just that little bit more. If the McLaren can stay ahead of YC, he may even be able to double dip with his DRS a little later on. But he ended up tapping a sausage curb, so I doubt he's going to be able to stick ahead of him for that much longer. He might have to consider pitting sooner or later. And YC dives into the pits! This pit stop could decide the entire race if it goes YC's way. He dives in. Is it going to be for the softs? Will it be for mediums? YC goes for mediums. Little Max Light could potentially be battling for position here. Max Light goes into the pits as well. What's Max going for? Son 85 stays out. He's battling with YC. But you've got to remember, he hasn't picked yet. So if anything, it's just going to be a battle between Wingman and Fighter. If there's anything that Son 85 can do now, he's got to watch out for YC's pace, because if he's in front of YC at the worst possible time, he can end up giving him track limits, which could be disastrous for little Max Light, who exits out of the pits with a 19-second gap on YC, who got a particularly incredible pit stop. Let's all admit that. Because yeah, that was fast. That was real fast. But yeah, Son 85 on worn hards now, with YC on the fresh mediums, and that was about all that Son 85 could do, as YC starts to pull away again with only 10 laps to go. And it's looking like YC has this race in the bag as Sok goes into the pits. But what's this? Jerry Pecco hasn't given up yet. He's only 7 seconds behind Son 85. I don't know if he's going to plan to try and bring these softs all the way to the end. Considering that there's 10 laps now, it'd be pretty gutsy to try and do so. But I feel like that's what Jerry Pecco needs to do if he wants to maintain position. And now, it's going to be a battle between him and Geometry, who now has fresh mediums. Who's going to win? Old softs Jerry or fresh mediums Geometry? Those mediums are starting to get more and more worn with each lap. He pitted a lot earlier, and Son 85 taps a track limit! Could this be where Jerry Pecco brings it into the podium positions? It might be! They end up getting closer, and now it's a 3-second gap where Jerry Pecco has softs, Son 85 has mediums. This could be huge for the stage driver. If he ends up getting just a little bit more pace, he could sneak his way onto the podium after having such a roller coaster of a race. Cutting to the front of the pack for a moment, YC has been on form for every race so far. He's looked unstoppable. He's proved it again. The wingman for Ferrari, proving himself once more as YC makes it a hat-trick and wins the Canadian Grand Prix, with Geometry only getting closer. And now we wait with bated breath to see if Son 85 keeps his podium position. I think Jerry Pecco might have started losing position. Geometry cuts it in the second. Son 85, after some incredible last-second defense, brings it into third place. Jerry Pecco has to settle with fourth and almost loses it to Little Max Light after a last-second mistake. And then Classica, actually, after a particularly good race, brings it into sixth. Beaster becomes seventh, which is overall worse than his previous result. And then it's Red Jelly, Mr. Download, after getting VCarb's first points, and Turk Slew rounds out the points. Yeah, if there was one thing to take out of that, Jerry Pecco had a chance to get a race win early on, but he just ended up tapping too many track limits. And then, in the very last moments where he seemed to have some particularly good pace, he very nearly ended up making onto the podiums, but just barely lost to Son 85, who finds himself back onto the podium. But more importantly, it's a 1-2 for Ferrari. They were already in a good position for the constructors, but now they catapult themselves into a better spot. And we're getting word from Jerry that him not getting a podium is fine by him, because Canada is one of his weaker tracks. He's going to have to make up quite a lot of room after that era against Son 85.